Hey guys, welcome to the show. This week's guest, we have Vander all the way from Amsterdam. Everybody, welcome Vander. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm super good. Very happy to be part of this, and yeah, very
Nice.
happy today.
I hope everybody could hear us perfectly. This is our first time trying out the Zoom connection with OBS to get someone from overseas to join us in for this interview. So if there's any technical difficulties or anything, please forgive us. We're still learning this Corona stay at home, learn new skill set stuff. So what's up, bro? How you doing? How's Amsterdam? How's life?
Pretty good. Everything, yeah, like super new. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, not traveling and no parties is affecting us a lot. Well, actually, it's not. It's just changing. It's not affecting us. It's not negative in any way. It's just changing. So we're just getting used to all these new things and trying to get creative on new ways to express ourselves and to connect with people.
Yeah.
But we were super optimistic, happy. The sun is out. Like this week is super warm in Amsterdam, so the summer starting again. So it's super nice, and yeah, just working a lot.
Yeah, over here the sun's out. It's about 90 degrees here right now, so we're like getting ready to go out and like maybe take some walks and stuff. Get tired of being at home and all this stuff, but it's
It's always
nice.
warm there, no?
The last 2 weeks it was raining, so that never happened. But yeah, it happened for the year, so we're good now.
Nice.
Um, okay, so I wanted. So the whole point of this show is getting into our scene all over the world. We have a community of friends and stuff like that. So I want everyone to really get to know who our artists are. So tell us a little bit about your history. How long have you been making music? What got you into being a DJ producer? Just
Okay.
tell us about your history before.
Well, I've been connected with music since I have memory, basically. I remember locking myself in my dad's studio to like listen to music like for hours and hours. Locking myself to watch MTV since I was like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, I don't know. And then I had my first instrument when I was 8. I got a classic guitar. I wanted a drum kit, but my mom didn't want to because it was too loud. Then I want an electric guitar because I saw all these guys like blowing them. And it was like, no, no, step by step, you get this shitty guitar. Then I got the classic guitar. And then I started like, experimenting a little bit. I got into music class to learn how to play. Um, yeah, since I was very young, but I didn't really was into like studying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the classes didn't work that much. So I just started to learn by myself how to play the songs that I liked,
Mm-hmm.
like with tabs and stuff. So like that's my story with music. I was playing with bands, like making our music. It was more like rock, pop rock type of vibe. Then I got into DJing where I was like, I guess 14, 13, 14, that age in middle school. Um, I was throwing parties with my best friends. We were throwing house parties in the school. We were like making flyers. We were like arranging the venue, which was like we had to convince someone to let us throw a party at their place. Then we were doing the flyer. We were like selling tickets, and we were playing our favorite music all night. That didn't. Well, that lasted for like 2, 3 years. After the principal of the school, like literally kicked us out of the school after many failed attempts for us to stop doing the parties. Yeah, so then I had, after that incident, I had to change schools. And so basically my parents were like, there's enough music for you, fuck this shit, get into study. So I took like a 1 year or 2 years of music break. Then I joined in my new school. Then when I had friends and stuff, I created a new band. and then we were called Ellos y Yo. We were playing pop rock again, doing all these talent shows and stuff. Then that was my last band. Was more serious because we were like playing a lot, rehearsing a lot, and only playing our original music. So it was very like like super intense, practice rehearsing like every like 3 or 4 times a week and having shows every weekend. So it was, yeah, it was cool, super nice experience. Um, there was I was playing the bass. That was actually my main instrument during my whole teenage years. Because the guitar, I don't know, I think I'm too stiff for the guitar somehow.
Hmm.
So I switched to bass, and in bass I could like flow better. So that's how I was more into music with the bass. Then I moved to Mexico. I took a break from music because I was fully committed to the studies. I said I wanted to make my bachelor degree. I wanted to do it super good. So I was taking music as a hobby back then anyway. So I like step away from it until I discovered electronic music. We watched, yeah, in a party. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I've never experienced this, like this
How?
type of vibe, this type of parties. And I was like, whoa, this is something completely new. And I loved it. Like since my first party at, I think Mandy was playing. I'm not sure. I think so. That was like that changed for everything. Then I started discovering all these artists. I discovering all this world basically, and then I was like, okay, I want to do this actually. I want to go back to music because I was already feeling like I was kind of lost. Like I was doing stuff and I was successful in a way, but I was still something missing in me that this drive until I found until I connected with music again through electronic music. One of the reasons why electronic music caught me so much um, was because the ability that it gives you to be one man band basically. One of the reasons why basically stopped doing music when back then it was because I was used to play with other people, with
Yeah.
instruments. I had my bass, but I was traveling. I was living in Mexico, then I lived in Australia, and then I was back and forth to Dominican Republic to visit my parents and stuff. So it was very difficult for me to have this consistency with a group of people, like this type of commitment. And also, I couldn't travel with the bass guitar. I was student. It's like very complicated. You need to be very, very, very into it, and I don't know. I lost it. So when I discovered that with my computer I could basically do everything and everything that I was doing with a band, but I could also have all the freedom because I'm putting all the input. It's not
Yeah.
like collaborating is amazing, but in this way I was just like putting everything. I was having control of all the sounds, of everything, of all the songs. So that was like that was like mind blowing for me. I know this existed like way back, but I've never realized it. I don't know why. I was super traditional with my bands.
Where?
When I
Where?
saw it, I was like, fuck.
I have a question. Where did you grow up? Like, would you grow up in Netherlands as a kid or
No, I grew up in Dominican Republic in Santo
Dominican
Domingo.
Republic? Oh, nice. So when around what age were you when you discovered electronic music?
I think 20
20. And what what
or 19.
what were you studying in your that you left for studies? Like, what you get your bachelor's in?
I studied in Mexico. My bachelor I did it in Mexico in Querétaro City.
What degree did you get?
Civil engineering.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice, nice, nice. So now you're engineering sound instead of buildings and stuff like that. Ah,
yeah,
you were born to be an engineer, bro.
yeah. If I would have known that you can actually make a career out of sound, like music, because the thing is that I grew up, like you have all these stereotypes basically.
Hmm.
So my parents taught me that if you want to have like a decent life, you have a nice degree, get a good job, and engineering was the thing back then. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure.
Since young, I was like, the dream that that society implanted was like, if you're an engineer, you're gonna be like, you know,
Successful
set up
or
for life.
happy, yeah.
Yeah, happy. That I got this image,
Yeah, for,
and a musician on the other hand was like, unless you're like fucking Justin Bieber, unless you're like one of the many, many, many millions out there, like the luckiest one, then you can have you can live
yeah.
basically. I never had I never had this, like this reality that you can be a musician. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you
It
can be
you.
normal and live a
Yeah,
musician's
yeah,
life.
yeah,
You don't have to go to the extremes, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I saw it very extreme. I don't know if because of the society I grew up in, because it's very poor,
Yeah,
and
I was told like being a musician is like a waste of time.
yeah,
You're not
yeah,
gonna make it or all this stuff. It's too hard. You should go be a doctor or a lawyer instead. But
totally.
my background was accounting. I studied business,
Oh,
so
really?
yeah, I did the accounting route for like similar to you. I stopped music and I went back to it after I realized I'm too in love with music and I can't do anything else. So I switched back into focused and turning music into a business instead of just being a musician. So doing
Yeah.
all aspects of it. So that really helped me develop myself as working in the music industry and like uh, going over the stereotype as you can't survive off music. And I started surviving off music and doing pretty well on music and
And I bet you're like super happy.
super happy. I haven't
Yeah.
stressed a day in my life until they said no more parties.
Yeah.
I
I
was
think you're
stress
not alone
free
there.
until they said no more parties, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'll stay in the studio
Okay.
and make music.
Hello.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Do you have an XLR? Oh, sorry.
Look,
Oh, hey.
What's up?
What's
How
good?
you doing?
oh wow,
Ah.
Patrick!
Hey! What is going on?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Live. Shit,
It's like
shit. Okay. Okay. I just think XLR cable there.
so,
So tell us about who those guys are right there.
there's just random guys. I
They're
don't know.
random. You should beat them up for
The parallel,
interviewing you.
the parallel boys. We share the. We basically have the studio in the same place. This is a house of classified. This is my studio. Their studio is upstairs.
Oh, sweet. So tell us more about Classified. What's Classified?
So classified is a record label. Also, well, we're now expanding as a production company, working towards more as film, and yeah, trying to expand creativity in visual and music as well. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
super
also trying
cool.
to combine.
I
Yeah,
saw. I
it's
saw.
mainly a record label, but boys want to step their feet into the film industry now.
Oh, nice. That's
So they've been working a lot with a lot of visual artists and a lot of cinematographic people
yeah.
with
They
their
they
project.
they used to make those cool videos when they would walk in airports and dentist's office and stuff
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I
They're
always
still
thought
on
that
it.
was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now they get to film their own thing. They're shooting.
Yeah,
Uh,
so now they're focusing more on that because they see a big opportunity.
yeah, that's
More
great.
now, in these times, that they say no parties. It's like, okay, so what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. You have to think on your feet and be able to adapt.
Yeah.
Um, Today I was watching your story. Actually, you had a track that you're releasing on Classified. Tell us more about your production. What kind of music do you like to produce? Um, how do you go about doing it? Where do you get your inspiration from? Tell us a little bit more about that side of Vander.
Um, what type of music I like to do? Electronic.
Be more
But
specific.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I honestly like.
Like, speak about today's
Right.
track that you put on your story.
Yeah.
I liked
So
it. It was pretty
basically,
cool.
I would play it, but I don't think the
No,
sound is
no,
gonna be
don't
good.
play. Don't play. Let them go watch your story.
Yeah, go with my story. No, so normally like my biggest influence is Latin music because I like more Caribbean stuff like salsa, merengue. That's where most of I'm more inclined to to work with. Let's say like also like it's more comes more naturally for me like to come. to work with percussions and like groovy bass lines, stuff like this. But I'm also like, so it depends on the day, you know. I think I'm a very multifacetic artist in the sense I'm very strong influenced by the Latin culture,
Mm-hmm.
but I also like a lot like rock as well.
Nice.
So I have this some, so it depends how I wake up. If I wake up one day I feel like I want to make like a track that is more indie, I'm gonna do it. And I'm not gonna think, oh, that doesn't fit with my style. At the end of the day, it's something I felt that day, and yeah, and that's what I did. But most of my stuff, I think, it varies, but it's a combination, let's say, of Latin rhythms with, it always has a taste of cheekiness, vibe, sexy. There's like some personality on it. I don't know. I think it's like myself coming out in a track. I try to
Nice.
make it
Nice.
funky and
Yeah,
not
you
that
just
serious, but like spicy. It's
you
in a
want to
way.
make people dance in a way,
Yeah, yeah.
in a
I want to.
sexy Vander style. I heard you
Yeah.
the first time I heard you play. I think I came up to you. We talked at Gardens of Babylon last year. I was like, you had your little setup going with your percussions and stuff added onto your DJ set, and I thought it was
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool. You were flowing seamlessly, and I was very impressed. I was like, gotta tell that guy he did a good job, man. It was cool.
I think. Yeah, I remember you came.
Yeah,
You said, yeah, you like it a lot.
yeah. So tell me about. Okay, let's go more personal. So we know you're a musician. We know you're a DJ. We know you make music. Let's let's talk about stuff people don't get to know about you. Like, where do you like to travel? What are your hobbies outside of music? Tell us things people would never know about you unless they come and they become friends with you and they talk to you. So like, what kind of food do you like to eat?
I love Indian food. Like top.
What's it,
Spicy food.
what's your favorite?
Mexican food is the best. Then comes Indian. So I have a thing to spicy food.
Yeah, next time you come to LA, I'll take you to some amazing LA style Mexican food places. It's
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. That's why we're
man.
so big here. Like we eat
Of
a lot.
course, there's a lot of Mexicans in LA. I remember when I was living there, a lot of my friends, we used to go a lot to LA, like back and forth. So yeah, I get it. There should be a lot of good tacos there.
Oh wow, so much good food. Um, when was the last time you were in LA?
I've never been. I was
Oh,
gonna go now. Yeah, I was gonna go now in March, my first North America tour, but
yeah,
it didn't
heartbreaking.
go through. I was gonna play in the gate.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, those are my
Yeah.
boys.
So yeah, I was very looking forward to it. Um, and
It
yeah.
kind of sucks. Like we wait for like the summer to come around, like spring,
Yeah.
summer, and then to go crazy for a
And
couple
then
months. Then
some lady in China ate a bat, and then
uh, or that's the story, right? The bat
yeah,
should have ate Batman. He would have
there's a lot.
saved all of us. Okay, so other than traveling to the U.S., what are some other places you've traveled to?
Last year I traveled to Middle East. So I traveled to Turkey. I went to Qatar, Dubai.
How'd you like
Uh,
Qatar?
I liked it. I mean, I was only there for a night, unfortunately, because I lost the flight last year. The last 4 months, I was losing flights. Like it was like I don't know what like literally I've never lost a flight. Then I lost it one time, and all of a sudden I had like this things with. I was like, I once went for Qatar. I went to the airport, and my passport was not validated, so I never checked if I could even fly.
Wow.
And yeah, you cannot fly in. But luckily, like I could, like I had like a temporary passport because I lost it, like a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. And then you cannot fly with a temporary passport to Qatar. I didn't know that, but you can fly everywhere but Qatar.
Oh
And
wow.
then when I was checking in, they was like, "Yes, sir, you cannot fly in." I'm like, God. And
So,
I text
uh,
Shishi, my agent, like, hey, so I cannot fly this new flight. And she's like, this is a pattern. Hey, you need to check yourself. But then luckily, like the embassy called me that day and it was like, your normal passport is ready. You can pick it up. So I picked it up in the morning next day. I took the next flight. So I could make it to my gig on time. But I lost the day. I lost the day that I was gonna visit like the city and the desert and everything. So
uh,
I
so
only made it to the gig.
a lot of the times when I talk to like the other guests we had on the show, like there's like a perception where like these DJs live like this crazy lifestyle where they get all the fancy stuff and everything is like seamless and perfect, but they don't realize how much shit we go through to try to get to places, or a lot of bullshit that happens, or like something out of the ordinary just ruins your whole plan. What is one of the most like the moments where for you it was like shit, like you felt like you were in the most trouble, or you're in the
Man,
most
I,
dangerous situation?
yeah, like last I've been in the not dangerous, but the biggest like moments that I think like that. One thing is like most I feel sometimes I feel very lonely like on the road.
Hmm.
But that the one time that I was like like literally almost having a breakdown was last October because I flew to London and in the flight it was very early in the morning. Mistake number one.
Hmm.
Then naturally I go to the plane, I sit down and I sleep. But what happened? I put the passport in the
The
thing,
seat.
in the seat. I put it there. I fall asleep. I wake up. Everyone's literally leaving the plane. I was like, oh shit. So I took my backpack. I left. And then I literally was there was like electric, escalators. How do you call it?
Yeah, escalator.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, go in, and then you cannot go back. It only goes up. And then I was like, oh shit, my passport. And then
Wow.
had to go all the way up. Then there's no way down. And I was telling him, like, oh yeah, I left my passport in the plane. Like it's insane. That was like super complicated to go. There's no way to go. I went to a girl from EasyJet. I'm never flying EasyJet again after that.
EasyJet
Always a thing.
sucks.
Sucks. And I'm like, okay, I left my passport. Can you like please go and call someone? No, I cannot help you. You need to go to the police, like the migration thing, and then tell them there. I'm like, the plane is here. It's like
2 feet away.
200 meters. I could go. You just don't let me pass through. No, no, no. And then they checked, and it was not there. I was like, okay, so then how did I got in the plane? It doesn't make sense. You guys are not checking. Anyways, I told the migration police, okay, I literally I left my passport in the plane. The plane left, so I don't have my passport. And they let me in. I explained, yeah, I'm coming. I have a gig today, and then in 2 days, that was Thursday, and then on Saturday I'm going to Turkey. And then they were like, okay, if you go, so it's fine. This happens. You're not the first guy. You just have to go to the embassy. You get an emergency passport, and with that you can travel. You can finish your stuff. So then okay. After I had my mental breakdown in the airport because it was the first time something like this happened. Yeah, I went to my gig. I finished. No, I went to the embassy. The embassy was closed. They say you have to come tomorrow at 8 in the morning. So I finished my gig. My gig like at 4 in the morning. I slept like 2 hours. I went to the embassy. Then I was like 4 hours. I got my temporary passport. So basically, with that, I could have traveled for 1 year everywhere. Basically, it's like a normal. It's like a passport, but it's like a cheap
Yeah.
version of it. So I was like super happy. Like, oh, fine, it's fine. I got it. And then next day I have to fly to Turkey for a silent retreat I was doing. And I was on the phone, like I wake up early, to take my flight. I was on the phone with a friend talking crap. And then all of a sudden I see the time and I'm like, dude, wait a second, I think I just lost my flight.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was just caught up talking, and I was like 40 minutes to my flight in London. It takes like 1 hour and a half. Then I call an Uber. I was like, can you make it on time? And he's like, no, bro. And I was like, okay, just take me to the train station. I'm just gonna buy a new flight. So I was checking like possibilities to arrive before the silent retreat started. it was like 14 hours after,
After.
you know. Yeah, and there was basically limited possibilities. And I remember I was like outside of the train station. It was Clapham Junction in London, and I was literally with my bags outside in the streets, like almost crying. Like I was sitting on the floor, everyone passing through, and I was like, "What the fuck?" You know, like should I just like quit, go back to Amsterdam? What should I do? Should I just keep pushing? You know, like since I left my house, everything is just
Going wrong.
going wrong.
That's
So
funny.
yeah.
That's funny. It happened to you in London. Stuff like that happened to me in a country that they don't speak English, and like they're
No
looking
way.
at me weird for speaking English, and I was like trying to figure it out, and it
What
ended up.
happened to you? Where?
Uh, I was in Germany, and I was like taking the train to the airport, and it was like going through. It was going through like the less populated cities to get
Yeah.
to the airport, and pretty much I was after Qatar. Like I went straight from Qatar to the airport, and I had all my stuff, and I was sitting in the train, and apparently I bought the wrong train ticket that goes straight to the airport. So when the
Oh,
ticket lady was coming to check if I had a ticket, I gave her the ticket, and in German she's telling me you have the wrong ticket. You have to leave the train. I'm like, what? She's like, get off the train, and I'm like, why? I have a ticket. She goes, no, you have the wrong ticket. Get off the train. And I'm like, what? She goes, there's a ticket machine right there. Just buy it. I'm like, let me just give you money. She goes, no, just buy it. You have to get off the train. Bro, I get
right.
off the train leaves. I have an hour to get to the airport. I'm in the middle of like this small city in Germany. I'm trying to find uh, which is the exact train I have to sit on because there's so many of them. So I'm talking to the guy, and his accent is so thick. I don't even know if he's speaking German or if he's speaking English. So I was like trying to figure out what this guy's saying, and he just pointed. So I went to buy the ticket there, got on the train, and I'm asking someone next to me. They're like, "No, you're on the wrong train. You have to go to the other train." And now I'm like, "Wow!" Like I'm on the wrong train. So I'm like trying to figure out. Bought like three different train tickets. Ended up not being able to find which train it was. Had only like 45 minutes left to catch my flight. Went outside, called an Uber, paid €100 to drive me straight to the airport instead of like €2 from the train. So it ended up being very expensive, but like the whole stress and beating the
Yeah,
time and everything, that right there is like it kills you, you know. But
that's
it's a funny experience in life, and you learn to like focus and like not make the same mistakes and leave early, and like don't go
yeah,
to
yeah.
the airport straight after Qatar. Just go sleep, get your rest. Go.
Get 1 day of rest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that type of situations is that makes you grow, and that's why I think, yeah, that's what justifies your fee.
yeah, for sure. It comes with the territory. Like promoters, if you don't want to pay too much, make sure we have a ride, we have food, we have a hotel, we
Yeah,
have all that, and we'll come play for cheap. But when you guys don't really, some promoters don't offer all that, then your
yeah,
fee should be more expensive, you know, because you
of
end up
course.
doing more work.
The problem is that when you go to a place that people don't speak the language and you don't know, you don't live there, sometimes becomes very complicated.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
it gets
like
very
thank God we
difficult.
have Uber. Uber
Uber
makes my
saves
life
us, yeah,
so
saves
easy.
us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uber is like literally like props, guys. Thank you because I've been in situations that I'm like, okay, let me just call an Uber. Like fuck.
Yeah, but the
Even if I don't have a iPhone charger, it's gonna die, and I don't even know my address. But you call an Uber, they always have a charger. You're like, okay,
yeah
this is where I have to go, and
the
then you figure it out. But
the one time I really praised Uber, I was in Italy, and I left after my gig, and I was in Milan, and I was going to the train station. So I guess they got me a taxi, they took me to a train station, and the train station takes you to the airport.
oh yeah, yeah,
So I got to the train station, and I'm looking, there's nobody, and some security guard comes and says, yeah, everyone went on strike, you have to take a taxi. I'm like, what? So I have like another hour, 2 hour to make it to the airport, and I go to get on the taxi to find a taxi, and there's no taxis around. So I talk to some people. They're like, "Oh, you have to take the bus." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I go to the bus. As I'm sitting in the bus, I'm like, "Does this go to the airport?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How long till it gets there?" The person's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it should take you like an hour and a half." I'm like, "Wow, I have to catch a flight, you know." So I end up calling Ali because he grew up in Milan. I'm like, "Hey Ali, I'm in a situation. The train station went on strike. It's hard for me to find the bus that gets me there. Do you know any people I could call, like taxi or whatever?" As I'm talking to him and he's giving me like what I should do,
Yeah.
some taxi guy just like pulls up. I start running to the taxi. It was like a miracle, you know. I grab all my bags. I start running to the taxi, and I told him the situation, and it ended up costing me another like 120 euros to get. It's
Another 100.
something stupid, you know. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got there. I made it. And like it's okay for you to pay that because you know you have a gig the next day or you have to meet some
Yeah.
people or it's like you have to do it, you know. But yeah,
Yeah, those situations happen more than you could think about, actually. Yeah, like it's very common, you know. Like, oh, there was something in the train station that I had to take a taxi, and then all of a sudden, €100, and you're like, okay, fuck it.
there goes half my fee, you know, or like a quarter of my fee. It's crazy. Like
Okay,
the first year,
it's, it's just 1% of your fee. It doesn't matter.
ah, uh, uh, the first year I went on these trips, a lot of things went wrong. The second year, it was like half the things went wrong, and this year I was hoping like nothing would go wrong, but now
Uh,
we have to go to next year and figure it out when we're coming back to Europe.
this year, everything went wrong.
This year, everything for everyone.
It's funny. It's like, yeah, man. You know, like they say, like things can go wrong, and you're literally like, you're always like, yeah, it's good now. It's not, not there's no gonna be a crisis.
Yeah,
You know, like 2008 was a crisis happened. You know, we're good to go. Boom, so and barriers, and you're like, and a lot of industries are being affected, but somehow they can operate. But I mean, when you're a musician, like, yeah, you make music. If you have a hit, you live by your royalties.
yeah,
Or if you like produce in massively a lot of music, like but all of that, like the main income are the shows, you know, always to
yeah.
everyone. So it's yeah, now it's like, I mean, I saw it coming because like all my gigs were starting to cancel, and I was like, okay, no, I think it's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
And at the start of my tour, it was like literally 1 week before, it was like everything canceled, you know, like all the flights, all you know, like it was barely impossible to flight, and I was like, okay, shit's going down, and I think I had like 3 days that I was not just digesting everything, like whoa, this is happening, and you basically don't have a job. You know, so like, what are you gonna do? So I was like, whoa.
yeah,
So
man.
yeah, difficult for artists, but there's also a way. I think it's just life accelerating evolution in a way. You know, like um, digitalization, technology. Like this wouldn't happen. Like this interaction between you and me if Corona wouldn't happen. You know, maybe you and me would hang in
Yeah,
LA. You know, I would be
yeah,
there. Yo, what's up? Let's chill. But you know, you making this new series. Um, you know, like all these live streams going on, all these people doing their stuff in Twitch, doing the Zoom classes, people going more into like, how can I now take my music and inspire people through with technology? You know, like there's people who've been doing this, you know, like like killing it on social media, but not in the music industry really.
yeah,
And now that we're all like basically on show, it's like, okay, now you have to like do something because this is the only way. Otherwise, like we cannot even see each other physically. So
yeah. How do you
so
feel?
that
How do you feel about music and like the digital distribution of music? Like how you receive it? Like, the different websites and stuff like that. How do you like them? Because me personally, I don't like them. They kill quality. They compress the files too much. Like
Like
the
streaming.
streaming, yeah, streaming interaction, like the whole DJing. You've been doing a lot of you've been doing a lot of streams while you've been DJing. How do you feel about that? How is it like DJing when there's nobody there to like you get their feedback and stuff like that against you're sitting behind your computer and DJing? Well, tell me about
Yeah,
how you feel about it. What's different? What do you notice? Uh, talk about it.
it's a good question. The first the first one was very challenging, but it was nice because I was in Dominican Republic. It was like for the Guardians of Babylon Global Isolation Party. It was like 2,000 people in Zoom. No,
Hmm.
like 1,000 in Zoom. There were like other 1,000 in Vimeo. All my friends in Amsterdam were like texting, so it was very interactive.
Hmm.
That was cool because I was in quarantine. I was in lockdown in my house. I was in Dominican Republic, like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my family and friends. And like, yeah, you come from Europe, you cannot leave your house for 14 days. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Why did I even come? So I was like very lonely, and that actually like made me realize that like the school, like how much I missed my friends and like going out and stuff because basically like all these parties are my life. So that one was super cool. The other ones, it was nice to see the reactions online that people were actually texting me like, "Hey, we have your set on. We're seeing you. It's super cool, man. Keep it up." Like these interactions are cool, but and I really appreciate it. I'm super grateful and I liked it. But now, like, I was thinking about it this week that I did one like the 2 days ago. I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not fulfilling enough.
Yeah, yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. You don't get
I
you don't get that satisfaction
I like
as a performer.
yeah, yeah, I like music and I like to listen to music. I actually prefer to do it, but I like music and I love music, but I don't DJ because I like music. I DJ because I like to interact with people through music. I like to connect with the crowd, to be part of this whole thing that's happening in my way, because I'm a performer and I was born like this. So this is my way of being part of the scene. So I like this, I like this exchange of energy and like and everything is happening and like this interaction is what I miss. And yeah, I play in my house and I'm having fun, but this is not what I didn't choose to do DJ to play music to people. I choose to do DJ to exchange energy with people, and I don't feel I'm doing this with a live stream.
That
So I still have a few commitments that I have to do, but I'm gonna like stop now after those, and I'm gonna try to focus on finding ways of how can I like interact with people more strong, because I think that's very limited and I think it's a bit lazy in a way.
yeah. For me, what you just said is the great like a very great explanation. I didn't get into DJing because I like music. Sure, I like music, but the connection with people is like it's the bigger picture. It's the bigger
Yeah,
gift. That was a very beautifully said statement right there.
yeah, like my job is to put music, but I don't do it for that. Like I need is a more profound thing that happens when you are in a room with people who you're feeling their energy, and based on what you feel, you put something in, and like
Yeah,
you feel the crowd, then you make a decision based on that, and then it's a cycle. That's what I'm for. Is this like adrenaline that you get. But with the live stream, I mean, I'm dancing by myself. It's cool, but I
oh
couldn't
man.
make it. I couldn't play for 6 hours. Like
No, no, no.
no, no. And I'd rather be in the studio if I would be doing that. So I think now, like, I want to do maybe to give courses about Ableton or something like that, just to interact with people more through music and to exchange something.
Yeah, for me, the thing I found was this connecting. Like, I'm super connecting with one person for an
Yeah.
hour a day, and at the end of the quarantine, I'll have 30 more cool friends or whatever. Like a lot of get to know artists better that are in the scene that you don't really get to see too often, you know. So
Yeah.
now I'm sure next time we come, we're gonna go get. Next time I see you, we're gonna go get some crazy Indian food, and we're gonna have a
Tacos.
good time. Or tacos, bro. Like this
Yeah, and
connection, like it makes me feel it, you know. Even though it's not music, but we are music. Our jobs are music, you know. But that
we're
connection, the
connected to
feeling,
music. Yeah.
yeah, that feeling you get is like for me, I found that is the closest thing. It's still not there, but the closest thing of connecting with people, the same satisfaction DJing gives, you know. But everyone does their own thing. Like some, what I found interesting is how everything in streaming went sold out. It was really hard to find gear to make it possible,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then the streaming the streaming sites, they all have different qualifications and different limits and different stuff that you need to follow in order to get your stream going. And then how even like in LA we have really good internet connection, like top of the line. I pay a lot of money to get like 200 megabytes 400 megabytes of internet, but like it still lags, you know. Like no matter
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you do, it still lags. So it's like imagine you like build an epic set and it's the drop is coming and it just lags and you're like, wow, all that epicness for that lag, you know. It's like it's not the same, man. But
Not the
hopefully
same.
we get back into the real world soon and we get to travel more. um
But I do get it. There's a market for it. There's people,
yeah, for sure.
I like that there's people in the houses, like they missed going out, they missed this, and then all of a sudden you have like your favorite DJ putting music and from their home. So it's also a way to connect with your crowd in a more personal way because if you do a live stream outside of your house like in a super sick thing that for me that's kind of a dick thing to do
Hmm.
because dude you should be at your house.
Yeah, stay home.
Don't how did you got this crew of camera and you're making a live stream in the best landscape of your city, dude? Man, that's not the point.
Yeah,
Like actually because then you could have done it before. What I like about it in the way is like people are connecting to their artists in a more personal way in the living room, for example. Like, hey, I'm gonna play some tunes in my living room, like would have never imagined like your favorite artists, people that I see that are like, wow, showing their
yeah.
normal houses, like their living room. This is where I sleep. This is my terrace. You know, it, it's not a 100 million house, and you're
Yeah,
like,
for
wow,
sure.
that intimacy is actually nice. And like if it's like a TV show, yeah, someone's putting music and you just leave it there. That's kind of cool. But to do it, yeah, and I want to go beyond that.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, like a lot of these superstar DJs, like crazy big DJs, they're like in their little flat. I'm like, you're this amazing, like superstar, travel the world, get paid all this money, and you live in a flat. Like
Yeah.
respect, you know, like you don't waste you're never home. I get it, you know. There's no need to
You
get
never know.
there's no need to get a mansion, you know. But it was cool, like that sense of intimacy. I agree with you. Like it makes everyone feel human, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Actually, do you saw David Guetta's live stream last week or something?
No, I don't know who
Man,
that
you have
man
to
is.
Google that. He did like in the terrace of this huge building in Miami. He put like sick sound system. Dude, that was like a sound system for like 1,000 people party, and then he did it in the terrace. But the terrace, like he even had lights, smoke machines, everything.
Oh
Everything
wow.
everything extra there. But the cool thing is that it was like surrounded by all the other buildings in Miami. So he was playing outside, and everyone was in their balcony, like having their own party.
No
That was
way.
cool, man. That was cool to see that people are actually, that went beyond. Of course, he did like a party basically, because I mean I cannot afford that sound system
Yeah,
just
I
for
can't either.
he was like fundraising and stuff. But that was cool to see that like you can use music to spread good vibes, and people were smiling, people were donating, people were interacting. Even if you're in your house, music is a tool that connects us. So
No, for sure.
the live stream is a way to do it, and I respect the people who do it.
Um, let's see. What else can we talk about? Tell me about your inspirations. Who's like your favorite artists that you've wish you could work with, or you want to work with, or people in our industry? Uh, tell me about some stuff more about your music.
That's a tricky question. Not tricky. Like my favorite artist. I mean, in our scene, let's say like that, in our industry scene or whatever you call it, I think I would be honored to work with Dixon, Tale of Us. That's like I really like what they represent
Mm-hmm.
in a way that they did their stuff for so many years that they already like have this thing, and then you just keep on doing music, which is quite cool. I like the music as well, but also like I would love to work with Nicolas Jar or
Mm-hmm.
David August, like these two guys literally were the ones who brought me into producing music. Um, that's in the electronic music world. Um, Also, but I actually would prefer to work with artists not related to electronic music. Let's say like um, this might be sound very thing, but I would like to work with people involved in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I work with people in Dominican Republic. They do like reggaeton and stuff, and we do music, but we don't release it. We just do it for fun. But it's cool to see the fusion. Like what is my input? What is your input? And what can come out of it. Sometimes it's very interesting results. I would like to work with artists like that in let's say for example someone that I like, like Tyler the Creator or something like that. That would be sick,
You have to come
That
to
would
LA,
be,
bro.
yeah.
There's a lot of that here. A lot of hip hop, a lot of cool artists. Uh,
But also I would prefer to also, I mean, to also like artists from like the Latin side of music. Like I was watching yesterday a documentary of Mark Anthony, and
oh
I was
wow.
looking how they were recording his album. And I was like, like 20 people in the studio, different musicians, all this interaction, this input and stuff. I was like, man, if I could do a record like that, that would mind blowing.
You'd win a Grammy for sure.
And working with artists like that would be very cool. Like you bring like a band of people who record salsa, and then you make your groove or whatever, and then you just start recording them. That would be, for me, super fulfilling. Like I think that's the next step for me as well. Like how can I make? It's very difficult in Amsterdam, but maybe go to Dominican Republic and work with artists that are more into this and into the live aspect of it. I don't have anyone like I can say like, oh, I would. Well, I mean, I would love to work, for example, with Mark Anthony, of course, and his band, or with people from, like all this, like so rock stars in this world, like Anthony Santo, Sergio Vargas, something like that, Juan Luis Guerra, like this type of artist will be very cool to work with. That will be that's like a dream. But also to see how the music can evolve. Because my input is more into the club scene.
Hmm.
You know, how can you make the banger? But they are more how can you make people dance together? So like how
Feel
can you
yeah.
blend? You know, how can you blend this and how can I make a set that I can make people dance together?
Yeah, that's a cool way of looking at it. How do you make people dance together instead of dancing for themselves? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
electronic music is very introspective,
yeah,
while like Latin, is like if
yeah. It's
once you start,
everyone's with everyone. You
you're
know?
like,
Yeah.
whoa, come here, you start spinning someone like crazy.
Wow,
That's cool, man.
I can't wait to see you do that, man. I feel like you're gonna be the one. Do it. I want to come dance with everyone in Amsterdam at the next Gardens
Let's see,
Festival
let's
or
see.
something. That's cool. Um, how do you feel about the industry? Like, do you think it's moving forward? You said you want to see the music evolve. Do you feel like the industry is keeping up with the music? Like it's evolving? It's growing at the same pace? Like everything is how do you say, like everything is how it needs to be, or are there things that make you unhappy about the industry that you wish are different? Talk to me little bit about that, in your opinion.
I mean, I would just prefer that the streams are higher. I'm kidding.
The what are
But
higher? The streams?
the streams in Spotify
Oh yeah.
pay the rent. No, I'm kidding.
I used
Um,
to hate Spotify, but now I'm slowly starting to use it more. And I used to love SoundCloud, and now I'm starting to hate
Me too,
SoundCloud.
I think that's a tendency that SoundCloud is declining a little bit.
Yeah,
Maybe also because we're more into the production side of music. Like,
label production. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So like SoundCloud as an artist or a label, like what do you
doesn't
get?
do anything. Yeah,
Exposure, okay.
yeah.
But when it comes down to royalties, Spotify is the big brother of SoundCloud. That is YouTube. But coming back to your question, what was it?
How do you feel like the industry is developing? Are you happy with it? What can you see it change? Would you like to see something change?
I'm happy. I think yeah, I'm happy with how it is. I don't have. I've never thought about before like, oh, if this would be different. I would prefer. The only thing like I like the industry how it is growing. I mean, for me, from my perspective, is growing because I'm also growing. You know, so what I see is always an evolution of what I saw yesterday. That's how I compare it. Yeah, if it's grow, I think it's growing, and I think artists are now. There's a lot of diversity inside of the electronic music, which is super cool. I see it now. I don't know if it was before. That's what. Maybe it was, but
How,
now I can now I'm more open to this diversity. I'm like, whoa, whoa, there's so much.
when did you start working like professionally as a DJ? How many years ago?
Um, I did the official switch, let's say. Well, professionally, it's basically when you start to get paid.
Paid, yeah.
Yeah, so let's say when I finished college, I started to get my gigs paid more formal. So that was what year is it now? That was in 2011. So
9 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's
no, 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 sorry, 2000. Wait, I don't know. No, I think like 6 years ago.
6 years. How old are you?
But I'm 27.
What? I'm older than you? Wow, you look like my age at least, bro. You're
How old are
27.
you?
I'm turning 30 in a month. Or
No
no, what
way.
are we? We're April, May, June, July. 3 months.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
wow. I always thought you carry yourself as like so mature and stuff like that. That's crazy.
It's a beer
It's the
and the
beard, yeah,
mustache.
the beard for sure. Wow, you have a so you have a really good start to your music career. Like touring at
Yeah,
27 is really good. Uh,
yeah. I mean, I would prefer. Again, some people say that, and I'm like, yeah, it's not good enough. It's never gonna be.
yeah, for you'll never be happy.
Yeah,
Like you're always gonna have the drive to keep pushing yourself more and more and more and more and more. But like if you take a step back and look at what you've overcame throughout the years, you should be proud, man. You should really focus on like having that be the motivation to keep pushing you to do better and better and better and
Yeah,
better.
totally. I think, um, yeah. So like I had started to have my gigs. Like I would say, okay, I'm gonna become a DJ. So, but I was still working as an engineer and stuff. So I was in the weekend I was a DJ, and during the week I had to be in a site, in a construction. Then I was not happy in Punta Cana where I was living. After 6 months of I finished my studies, so I came to Netherlands to pursue a master degree. So I moved here.
A
Uh,
master in music.
no, in construction management. That was the only way. That was the only way that my parents could have agreed, and they would be like, okay, and that was the plan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do music. It was half time. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't have friends. I don't know anyone. I just have to study during the day, and I make music. So I brought my gear and my small flat. I made like studio setup, and then but I was spending more time making music than I was studying. I was getting good grades and everything, but I was not happy. So like after a year, I was like, I'm done with this. Like I had the courage to tell my parents like, actually, what I really want to do is music, and I know you won't be happy with this now, but I hope you understand in the future. Like this is
yeah.
what makes me happy, and I don't mind how long it's gonna take for me to
To get
succeed,
to where you want to be. Yeah,
or if I would be still living in a small flat, like and struggling. I don't mind as long as I'm making music because that's what I want to do every
well,
day.
I feel like we have such a similar background story that
Yeah,
I could connect with you and like being an accountant and working and not wanting to do that and telling my parents and all this stuff. Like, yeah, I really connect with you, and I know the way you would have felt delivering the message, trying to not wanting to let your parents down, but in the same way you didn't want to be depressed anymore. Like,
yeah, it's tough, and it was a transition, and I tried to make it smooth. It was not like I sit everyone. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. It was like slowly, slowly,
over
and
time.
I yeah, yeah, and they still ask me like, my dad stopped asking me. He was like, okay, I get it, it's fine. But my grandpa still asked me like, okay, so when are you gonna finish your master's degree? I'm like, dude, it's been like 2 years. I'm not gonna do that anymore.
My process was like at least 2 years until they stopped asking me questions and stopped.
Yeah,
They just left me. They like gave up. Like, he's doing music. He's doing music. It took a nice 2 year period of like slowly getting them to understand where I was going with it. But
yeah.
yeah,
So are your parents living in LA?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was the most difficult for them to understand, but easy for me to do. It was that I was living here, which is very far from where they live in Dominican Republic. So for me, I was having my life here.
Mm-hmm. How,
So
how
I'm
how
like, huh?
how many years have you lived in Amsterdam now? Like 4 or 5?
Well, I was living in Delft for 2 years, for 1 year and a half, and then I moved to Amsterdam. So I'm in Amsterdam. This is my third year.
Oh, nice. Have you picked up Dutch?
No, no, I know. Everyone speaks English here, and I'm a musician. Nothing to do with Dutch. I love Dutch people, but it's not necessary. Like
Yeah,
I live here. I love the city, but most of my friends are international. All speak English, and my work is from here outside. So I'm traveling a lot, and I always like I move in English. So and I don't have to work in an office where everyone speaks Dutch.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's never been a necessity for me. So for me, it's basically a waste of time if I would just say like, okay, I'm gonna learn Dutch because I have music to finish. So
Yeah.
like
The parallel boys could teach you. Do they speak Dutch? They speak Dutch, right?
Thomas speak a little bit, but they're Dutch.
Yeah,
Like the dad is Dutch.
nice.
So but they don't speak. Thomas speak a little bit, but not really.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to our followers real quick, or people watching us. If you guys have any questions for Vander, there's a little delay in the thing, so it's gonna take a few minutes for it to or a few seconds for it to come to us. If you guys have any questions for him, that you would want to ask, I could read it to you. I have the chat open here.
I don't
So
have it. How many people are on?
right now there is 7 people watching, but throughout the entire thing, I think it was about that many people over and over again. I'll send you the analytics after it's done, and there's a bunch of comments. So Javier said yes, I guess. Valdem classified music tuned in. Ali tuned in. He says hello.
Hello,
Uh, Jacob from Miami tuned in. My girlfriend, Human Society, Parallels, nice. So we have a few people. If we get any questions coming up, we'll answer some of their questions. Until then, is there anything you're really looking forward to, other than going back to real regular life?
um, yeah, I'm actually this. I'm gonna release a lot this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Which is basically a mixed feeling because I want to release, but there's no show, so what's the point?
Yeah, you know,
I'm like, okay, I'm releasing this stuff, but nobody's gonna play it anyway. So
it's funny. Me and Ali were having the conversation. We still have releases coming out because of the timeline, and we're like, should we really send out promos right now? Like, what's the point of sending out promos? No one's gonna play it anywhere. You know, it's just the track dies, or like it doesn't get as much credit.
attraction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
traction credit that it deserves.
So I feel a little bad because I really think the tracks I'm gonna release now are super good, and like compared to everything I've released, it's like since I have this studio, I'm like releasing so much different and better stuff. So I'm looking forward to show that to the world, but I'm actually also having this feeling that I'm like, oh, like I think, I mean, this fear that it's not gonna get the spotlight it deserves because there's nothing going on around. But I mean, I'm still looking forward. I'm releasing a single in the VA of the Gardens of Babylon. Releasing another single in the VA of Classified with Pandora. It's a collaboration we did where I
Nice,
was last time I was in Turkey. I have an EP with Minox from Pandora also. We did 2 tracks and then one remix from Yub Menke from one of the tracks and the other one from the Soul Brothers. So that's gonna be a nice EP. Then I have an EP coming up with Classified with the track that you saw in the story. And I have
nice,
another EP with Gardens of Babylon and in October. It's called the Attraction. It's a track has I've been getting a lot of good feedback. Then I have the IP with you guys. Well, in with from Jose Noventa.
oh sweet,
Yeah, the track Groove in Control that we did together. And yeah, that's it. I'm also working on an album, but I cannot talk a lot about it now. But yeah, that's in process. And I'm looking into the options to give courses online. You know, I think I'm gonna like make little structure and show people how is my creative process.
nice.
You
I
know,
think that's a good idea. The
yeah,
more you can
yeah,
teach people, the better it is, because the more respect they get, the more connection they get with the people. Like the other day, like Sebastian Ledger had put up a little stream of how he does stuff, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's on another level, like crazy, like educated about the different processes of making music, and like watching the our stream, it really gave like I gave him so much more respect than before I even knew about him, in the sense of how he makes his music, and like it felt really cool learning, from someone who's really good at their craft. But
yeah. I really like that. Also, like imagine like I would have seen back in the days. There are a lot of courses online, but not from the artists you listen.
yeah, it's weird. There's
Yeah,
so
it's
much
weird.
out there, but like it's not really that
It's like
what you want,
yeah, how to do a deep house track, and you're like, what the fuck is this,
Yeah, it's like a
man?
shitty ass. It sounds good, but it's like not something you would ever listen to or play. But it's like, okay, prove the point of the tutorial.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I think it's a good way to connect. I made a post yesterday. I was asking my followers, "Hey, this is a good idea," and a lot of people said yes. Like that they would, like it's cool.
Yeah, do
So
it.
a lot of people
Uh,
will reach me out like, yeah, please let me know how much is it, when is it gonna be? You know, like I have troubles with this and that. So there's actually a lot of people looking for advice.
no, for sure. Let me know when you have it up and going. I'll share it to the people in the West Coast. We'll get
Like,
these new artists up.
I just need to think that what's the best way of doing it. I was thinking of having like one-on-one in my studio, you know, with people in Amsterdam. They come to my studio, we do a track here, I show you how we do it, and at the end of the session, at the end of the course, you have like your track. You know, I got you through the process.
I
But
think
that's
I, I
yeah,
think Zoom would be the way to go. Screen
yeah,
sharing
yeah.
on Zoom,
So
or
that's the
some
thing.
sort of screen sharing. That way you could get more people, like tune in. You know, and like you don't
Yeah,
have to have them in the studio
yeah. So
unless
the idea of the studio is dead for now because it's very difficult.
yeah,
But soon might be, and I wanted to do one-on-one, but then I thought maybe I can even make it cheaper and then just get more people. You know, a
yeah,
class of 10 people. You know, 1 hour session me doing the stuff. That would be cool.
yeah. Uh, we got a question from Javier. He asked, "What was your first DJ setup? How did you start? What
I
gear
had
did
this
you use?"
Hercules DJ mix.
Oh my!
Uh, it was
The
like
little all-in-one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like a square, like a gray
Yeah,
controller, super
I
small.
remember that.
It was like this size, literally, literally. You have like a little circle here,
Yeah,
and then you have like two faders and stuff. Yeah,
I remember that. A couple of my friends had that Hercules.
yeah. It was like $100 or something. It's
Yeah.
cheap.
What do
It
you
was
use?
with
What do you
but
use now?
virtual
Now you're on
company.
Tractor, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I wanna do the with the Pioneer only. Sometimes I do the hybrids. So I take the TR8
Mm-hmm.
and tractor, and I play with more stems and drum machine. And it's more like a hybrid stuff. But yeah, it depends on the gig and stuff. But mostly like CDJs or the hybrid. That's the two modes. And now looking into the options to make a live. But I think that would be after the album is out.
Sweet. I just want
Yeah.
to let everyone know if you guys enjoying what we're doing, bringing new artists from all over the world to join in and have a talk that you guys never get a chance to get this point of view. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments, likes, whatever you like to know. If you like to have suggestions on who I should try to get on the show, if you get to know more of, please let us know. Uh, we got another question for you, Vander. What inspires you to start a track?
Uh, Everything. I don't know. It's just
It's
the mood.
different every time, right? Yeah.
It's the mood. It's not like I want to make a track. Let me go for a run. And I want to come and I'm gonna make a track now.
Mm.
It's a mood. It just comes and goes.
Do you ever get bad days in the studio, like you just don't feel like doing it, or
Yeah, most of the times.
yeah,
Well, yeah, a lot of times. No, not most of the times. Lately, I've been very productive, but sometimes I just nothing comes out, and it's what it is. And yes, if I have that for a while, then I get very grumpy, and then but I'm grumpy and I'm very in a bad mood, and people can perceive that. Like, but I know that something good is coming because every time I feel like this, that I haven't make music, and I start like, hey, what is wrong? You know, I know like the next one that is gonna be good is gonna be super good. So like
yeah.
I have this in the back of my mind, like okay, it's coming, it's just not there yet.
Do, do,
You cannot force creativity in a way. You can discipline it, but you cannot force it.
do you when you produce, do you mix and do you mix during the same time, or do you focus on getting it to sound right, or do you focus more on creativity and then you do your mixing later? What's your process like?
Before I was doing that a lot, like trying to get the sound very correct, but then I realized that that's very counterproductive because
Mm-hmm.
you lose the moment, you lose the energy that the creative energy. Like as soon as I start to think on the mix, the track is done creatively. Like creatively, I can make it sound good, sound design wise. Like okay, I put it in Q and I make stuff like small adjustment to make
Mm-hmm.
it sound sort of how what I like. You know, if I have a kick and I don't like the top, I can just put a
A curve.
EQ on it, and that's fine. I can do that in 2 seconds. But I don't get too deep into this mixing very early in the process. I do it once the track is arranged,
All
sort of.
right. So
Yeah, I
not.
mean, in the beginning of the arrangement, that I have the idea, I'm like, okay, now I need to know, now I need to clean stuff to see if I need to add more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to get all the ideas as fast as possible, and the only way to do it is to focus on the creative part, which is the music writing aspect of production. I think the best way is to create the track, you know, like write the song, you know, you make the melodies and everything relatively fast. You make the arrangement, the structure of how the song is gonna go. Then you do the sound design, basically. You know, like EQ stuff here and there. You make it sound how you want, and then you mix it. Because mixing is technical. When I have bad days, I mix.
Yeah.
You know, because that's something you can do. It's a technical decision. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this side chain here, EQ this, do this up, pan this here, pan this there. You don't need to have a creative energy to do that. But to write a song, you need to have it, and that the creative energy comes and goes very fast.
Yeah.
But when it's there, you need to make sure you have everything that you just put it there. You know.
A lot of my friends I
Right.
speak with, they're like, if you don't make a song in the day, like the creative wise, in like that day, just it's trash. Put it away. Like,
I also say this. I also say the same thing.
yeah, they're like, yeah.
If
Once it's there, it's there. Once it's gone, you're never gonna get it. Your mood
yeah,
changes, your feeling changes. It's really hard to get what you want out of it.
all the tracks that I've released and all the tracks that I have made that I actually enjoy is the tracks that I do in one day. In the
Yeah,
sit, I down, boop, 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 done. It's not mixed, but it sounds good,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
It
tells the
sounds
story.
good.
That's the trick. I don't mix it the same day because my ears cannot. I could do it, but my
Yeah,
ears,
the
yeah,
fatigue in the ears, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
you cannot do it physically.
Is there
So you
anything?
need to keep it one day. Huh?
Is it, I want to say, is there anything you want to like promote? Anything you have coming out other than we talked about your tracks? Is there any last couple things you want to mention to anyone? You said you're trying to start you have your tracks coming out. You're trying to start your DJ school. Is there anything else that you want people to know about you before we wrap this up?
I think we have a lot. We covered a lot
Yeah.
of everything that's coming up. Just yeah, follow me on social media to keep up
What are your
with
handles? Tell everyone your
Vander
handles.
Point Music across most of the platforms. So that's how you can find me. And yeah, I just keep you updated with all the music and that's coming out and the courses. If you're interested, just send me a message and stuff, and let's find a way to we can exchange knowledge.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking to me for about an hour now. I
Or
really can't wait to see you guys soon. I want to come to Amsterdam. We'll hang out. We'll go get some Mexican or Indian food together. And
yeah, hopefully it happens soon.
yeah, so I'm sending you my love, man. Thank you for everything,
Coming
and I
back.
hope
Thank
to
you, man.
see you
Thank
soon. We'll chat some
you.
more offline, and take care.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you for inviting me. Bye bye.
You got it. Bye bye.
Yeah.